In the coastal highlands outside Los Angeles, California, there's a home underway that's the first of its kind.
I went, yes, thinking we could do this.
Spread over 7 different structures on a 55-acre hilltop property, the future home will be made out of recycled airplane parts.
The first house that I'm ever aware of where we've taken a 747, literally a commercial 747-200, and cut it up into large sections and then use those sections.
Construction has just begun, but when it's complete, this future home will make use of almost all of the 395,000-pound 747.
Hi, I'm Francine. I'm building an extreme home.
Francie loves organic gardening, painting, meditation, and living a green life. So when it came time for Francie to design her dream home, she had just 2 requirements for her architect. The design had to be environmentally friendly, and it had to be feminine.
I told David that I wanted something that had curves, that was sensual, that reflected a female sensibility.
This was a challenge to explore my feminine side, I guess, on this project. Well, I was in Scotland, actually on vacation, kind of jet lagged, and at the airport I had been taking pictures of airplanes about the curvilinear form and starting to really look at the wing more seriously as a shape that could be used as a roof.
A 747 taken in its whole, in its entirety, indeed is a very masculine, powerful structure. But interestingly enough, taken apart, it becomes very feminine.
At the center of this groundbreaking concept are the massive 125-foot-long wings of the airplane, which will be used as the roof for the multi-level main residence. As you enter, there'll be an open living room, a space for dining, an office, and a gourmet kitchen with an outdoor patio. Upstairs will be Francie's master suite and master bath, with views beyond the airplane wing as far as the eye can see. Outrageous? Perhaps. Recyclable? You bet.
It is 100% post-consumer recycled content. It's prefabricated, fewer pieces that are delivered to the site with fewer traffic trips and less construction demolition waste, and subsequently it's a much lighter impact on the site.
I don't think that I'm living in a house inspired by a plane. It's more that I'm living in a house that is recycled. It's one big recycling project.
So where do you go to get an old 747? This is where jumbo jets come to retire, the California desert. Some are used for parts, while others just sit and rust.
There's about 1,500 airplanes that are really mothballed in the California deserts because of the dry climate.
They looked at a couple of planes before they settled on this 35-year-old beauty. For about 200 grand, the plane, plus labor to prep it, was theirs.
I put it on my charge cards, got miles, and bought my 747.
Mark Thompson is the man in charge of Francie's airplane. He, along with a crew of 12, have spent over a year gutting and cutting the plane into pieces.
This is such a big airplane that, you take it apart with a crane and forklifts and that sort of thing. Lift it off in big shells.
Mark has been transforming planes into restaurants and movie props for over 25 years. When he's done with Francie's 747, it'll be spick and span.
It won't look as crummy as it is right now.
But even Mark agrees, this job is massive in scale.
Well, when you go up to this plane and it's sitting there 225 feet long, it's a bit overwhelming, even for a good mechanic. This is the first one of this magnitude. It's really something.
I certainly don't mean this. An actual wing from a 747.
I am definitely a risk taker. I'm someone that will go for it. Before I'll think too much about it, which may be to my detriment, I'll say, let's do it. Let's go. Welcome to the site of my extreme home.
The hills of Malibu, California are the site of Francie's future wing house.
The beauty of this site is that it's hardly visible from anywhere else. That's what makes it so special. You still have your own private world.
Builder Ron Senso has already broken ground, and foundation work on the property's main residence is underway.
That was truck number 11 out of 12. We'll have one more today. We have about 110 cubic yards of concrete being poured today just in the footings alone.
Let's put it this way, the concrete is more expensive than the whole 747 I bought.
The house will be made primarily from concrete, glass, and the plane's aluminum parts. The shape of the main residence follows the curve of the 125-foot long by 47-foot wide wing. Basically, each of the massive wings will rest on just 4 concrete columns spread across the 2-level living area. They'll be attached underneath at the points where the landing gear and engines used to be mounted, and secured to the concrete with custom fabricated steel plates.
So you have 5,500 square feet of roof area sitting on about 8 square feet. And so essentially it's almost like a tabletop.
Next, 14-foot tall sheets of high-performance glass will hang down from the wing to enclose the living area. The glass will rest in a channel that'll be cut into the wing above and embedded in the concrete slab below. The channel is then sealed with silicone, which will allow the wing to move independently of the glass.
As the sun hits the wing will expand and grow, and as it gets cold, it'll shrink. So the pocket allows for that thermal expansion and that movement without impacting the glass.
Repurposing the airplane wings is just the beginning. David Hertz and project manager Lucas Getchy are planning to recycle the entire plane into 6 additional structures.
We were thinking about it in the sense of resource efficiency, how an American Indian might look at a buffalo and just consume all of this. Now, we determined that we can cut this piece here to here, and we'd have a 60-foot long section, and we would use that as a guest house. And then another section from here to here as an art studio. And then cut this section of the whole nose cone, which we turned on edge with the cockpit as a skylight, and that is a meditation pavilion.
There are also plans to use the plane's middle section as a barn, where Francie hopes to collect and protect endangered animals.
Right about there, that's it. That's the other end of the barn.
I can have a lot of animals here.
Absolutely.
Plans are in full swing, but there was one tiny detail that had to be accounted for. After all, you can't just leave plane parts scattered on your property. A pilot flying overhead might get the wrong idea.
The fear, of course, as pilots fly over, they would call it in as a crash site.
So that the buildings aren't mistaken for a brand new plane crash, the plane parts will be marked to signify that the FAA already knows they're there.
The FAA requires us to make the universal marking for a downed airplane. That is a big red X.
It'll probably take another couple years before Francie can move into her extreme home. But for her, the destination is just as important as the journey itself.
I've had so much fun with these guys. We've had so much fun. Really, it's like a big family.
When Francie's home is complete, there are 2 people who know for sure that the wing house will add up to more than just the sum of its parts.
The intent is to really make a much more sublime architectural component, using the curves of the shape and really emphasizing how beautiful those forms are.
This process has seemed to have captured the imagination of many people. It's not my project anymore. It is something that belongs to everyone, because hopefully this will inspire people to look at materials that we throw away and abandon as something to use in any which way they can that inspires them to do more for our planet.